everybody, welcome out to the From the Earth Educational Garden. Today we're going to talk about succession planting of crops. This is a tool that we really like to utilize the space in our garden and also help extend the harvest window of some crops. One example that we do that with are things like carrots. So as you can see behind me, we have a beautiful crop of carrots growing. These carrots were planted in the beginning of June and she'll be ready to harvest around the middle of August. So once we pull out the carrots out of this row, we're going to plant another probably fall crop in here. Also in the row right next to it, we have some carrots that we just planted last week. So earlier in the season, this was where our garlic was planted. I think we literally pulled out our garlic and planted carrots back in the row on the same day. So as you can see, this crop is pretty small right now, but we'll be ready to harvest by about the middle to the end of September. With succession planting, some of the things you can do are really utilizing your different varieties of crops, things like different day lengths. Out here in the garden, we actually plant 3 different day lengths of carrots. One is like a storage carrot that takes about 75 days to grow. One that's a little bit shorter at 65, and another one that's a little bit shorter that takes 54 days to grow. So that's just an example of some of the different ways that we try to extend our harvest window. A lot of our produce here goes into our community supported agriculture program, or CSA. So we have about 40 members that we're trying to get a variety of produce to each week and want to make sure that each week their bags are a little bit different, but also have some good standby favorites, and things like carrots and beans are a great way that we can keep rotating through our stock of what we have here in the garden. Earlier this week, we had cut the lettuce out of these raised beds. As you can see, we were kind of using them for multi-purpose. We have some Munsee beans growing on the back row that are going to trellis up this fence, but we were using the front part of it to grow some lettuce. A lettuce is another one of those crops that we grow in successions, and we're actually planting lettuce about every other week. So this lettuce was done for the season, but we're going to reutilize this space. It's about the end of July right now, and we have plenty of time to get a good crop of something else in the ground. So one of the things that we're going to be doing today is probably planting some green onions in here, and then we're also going to be growing and planting some peas in another one. So right now we are planting things that are a little bit more cold tolerant and have a shorter growing season, just because our growing season is going to come to an end, sometime between the middle of September to the middle of October. So we want to make sure that we're planting crops right now that will be able to mature or maybe withstand a little bit of cold that will potentially be coming in a couple of months. So right now what we're doing, a couple of things, and this is pretty similar no matter if we're planting in a raised bed or planting in the ground, really making sure that we're clearing out the old crop. So right now, I'm not pulling up the entire roots of the lettuce, just sort of twisting it off a little bit. If I pull up the roots, it's definitely this whole root ball. So this is actually really great decaying matter green manure that we want to make sure that our new plants growing in here can break down and use. But this top part of the lettuce is just going to get in the way. So right now we're just going through and cleaning out this bed. So what we do with this material once we clean it out of the bed is we return it to our compost pile. So that way, give it another season to break down and we'll be able to reuse it all for fertilizer again. So one of the things that we do, if we're in the ground, we'll go through with our little tiller and do some strip tilling, but in here in a raised bed, we just use some little hand tools to sort of break up the soil a little bit, break up some of those root balls, and take out some weeds. So Noah is going to be coming through and dumping some compost in this bed. We did remove a crop and remove nutrients from it, so we want to make sure that we add some more nutrients to the soil. So one of the cool things that we do here as we partner with the environmental department. They collect food waste from the casino turn it into a compost pile for about a year or two, and then bring it back out to the garden. So this is just a great way that we continue to recycle nutrients here within the community. So, right, what Noah's doing is great, just kind of putting that compost on top, mixing it in a little bit, and we'll be ready to plant in here.
So in this garden bed, raised bed, we're going to be planting some onions. And like before, kind of just make a row. Clear it out a bit and just sprinkle them because they're very small. So I just always go slow, sprinkle them in. Hopefully don't lose any. If you need any more, you can always just go grab them from the bag. Then once they're all in, I always just cover them up. Start my next row. And I'll continue the process of just planting them, then covering them. So this is also a crop that we plant frequently. These were planted about 2 weeks ago, and they're looking great. This was about a month ago, and they are also looking very good.